JK, thank you for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time after I had made such a rookie mistake of recording the first episode we recorded on my headphones instead of my microphone. Thank you for being so gracious and being willing to come on again. I really appreciate it, man.
Bro, that's cool, bro. That's cool. I'm glad we did that. And like it happened with us and not with like the Gary Vee podcast or something, right?
Thank God for small favors, my man. So I want to first start off with you mentioned to me that you've been having some incredible breakthroughs lately in life. And
Yeah, bro.
I gotta ask, what about these breakthroughs? What's going on?
It's like, how, like in Twitter, everybody's like, you just gotta do it, you just gotta start, you gotta do something. And then I like spend like so much time just, listening, consuming and reading all these books, but I never actually did something. I was like, let's just
Mm.
write tweets or whatever, right? But like a lot has changed, like since we last talked. Now, like when we talked, I didn't really have anything going on, maybe just this Twitter account. And now is this like I've been building this agency and like learning what it means to like to be a leader, and just learning how to deal with clients and all these things. And it's just so many things that have happened, and like basically just you know so cool to just have so many people helping you out. And that's what I've found. This space that we're in, especially, it's just such a close community that's going to help you out. And everybody's just growing if you're willing to ask for it. So I've been just asking, and people have been helping. So it's just cool.
That's awesome, man. So you've been building this agency. What's that been like?
It's very interesting when it comes to like extrapolating yourself from the day to day. This is something one of my clients taught me actually. He was like, yo, if you don't like tell people how to do what you're actually doing, if you don't go like from freelancer to like, business owner, like you're always going to have a job. Like you're never going to be able to extract yourself from what you're doing. So I was like, that makes sense. So like the main thing about this was like, how do I, because it's a ghostwriting agency, it's just tweets, right? So how do I get my process on how I think about tweets and how I write them and make somebody do it the same way that I'm doing or even better,
Yeah.
right? That's the heavy part. But then when like you actually you actually force yourself to write and articulate what's going on in your head and your thought process. It's very interesting how you are not really as smart as you thought, or you're not really as good
Mm.
as communicating as you thought. And it's like, oh shit, so I got to go back, take steps back and teach it to people. So it's very, very interesting. Lots of people that are being knowledgeable for so good.
So when you realized that you're not as smart as you thought you were, what was that like? What was that experience like?
That's horrible. Like at the beginning, I was like, oh, bro, it's like, I so like, and I talked about this with Bronze, Bronze advertising from Twitter. I was like, so how do you teach somebody to do copy? And he's like, let's just do it, right? Just you have the paper and there's just do it. And that I was like, yeah, that's how I do it. Just you see a tweet, just fucking write it, right? It's not that hard. But then it was like, it was kind of hard at the beginning because I was like, if I don't fix that part, I said, if I don't teach people how to actually write it, it's always gonna be fucked up, right? And I needed to extrapolate like everything and be like, okay, so this is how you do it. And it's something I wasn't used to, right? Because I worked at so I had this job, it was kind of sales. I didn't get paid anything for like 9 months. I just got this job for free when I was like 17. And I was like, yeah, I just want to learn. I went to my college professor, like, bro, I just want to learn from you. So I worked for free. And then I worked at this like marketing agency. Well, I did like copy, web design, YouTube videos, sales, I did everything. And because I was so used to being told what to do, I wasn't never really like, okay, how do I do this better? Because I wasn't paid for that. I wasn't paid to think, I was paid to do.
Hmm.
So now I was like, if I think better, I get paid better. So I had this, impulse to be like, okay, so what do I do now? Right? How do I improve at it? And then this guy came up, this guy on Twitter, as a ghostwriter, I can really say who I work with, but you'll just have to, figure it out. This guy, he is making so much fucking money, like so much fucking money. And he asked me to write for him. And I was like, I'll make a deal with you. I won't charge you anything, but you will coach me on my business and we'll figure how it goes. And it's like, let's do it. So now like people are saying, yo, how do you figure this out? And I'm like, I mean, I'm not. I just got a coach and he's helping me out, right? So it's this interesting dynamic that I got with a lot of people in this space that actually helped me level up, right?
Yeah. I want to bring it back to how you started and how you, I guess, rewind maybe 12 months. This is when all of it started, right? When
Yeah.
did your Twitter journey start? And when did you start putting yourself out there?
So it was actually before the 12 months. It was
Okay.
like in December 2019 or something. I wanted to like do, I've always liked to write. I always enjoyed it. So I wanted to do Quora because, you know, you're going to get a lot of numbers in Quora. Like my boss used to use Quora and I was like, oh, I'll just answer some stuff about regular life or something. But I did it in Spanish because that's my native language, right? It was Spanish. And like, you wouldn't believe how big the English market is compared to the Spanish one. Spanish one is like nobody's in there. Like everybody's just like soccer or memes. That's it, right? And it didn't really grow. Then I was just lurking Twitter. It was actually by accident. I didn't really enjoy Twitter because I thought Twitter was just somewhere you post like, oh, I'm watching the game, or oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom or whatever. Like nothing happened. But then I started, seeing all these accounts. I actually found like who was it? Like Chris Johnson, Ed Lattimore, like in a shout out. Somebody shouted them out. And then I started looking to them. And then you look at this ridiculous stuff, bro. It's like $200,000 in a month selling PDFs. What the fuck? Like it doesn't make sense. And then you see these people, well, I'm making 100K on my agency. And I'm like, why am I not in this, right?
And also
It's
give
just,
some context for where you at in the world and what's your baseline for what the median income is where you're at.
oh, yeah, that's a good one. So I'm in Guatemala. That's a third world country below Mexico and like above Costa Rica. It's in the middle. And where we're at, like I'm a software engineer, or at least I'm studying it. That's what I majored in college. And if you go out as a software engineer, to give you an idea, you make about $700 a month. That's about what you can expect
Wow.
to make a full engineer, right?
Wow.
Yeah. I was making $250 a month with just doing everything, right? At this company, I was like the assistant. I was just like, if there was a problem, I had to deal with it. But that was like expected, like, oh, you don't have a degree, you're not doing anything, so you have to do it. And then I was like, seeing all this money, and today it just didn't compute, right? It just seemed too much. Like to make that kind of money, you have to be a narco, right? Right. Where I'm at. Yeah. It's stupid. I was like, are you doing what you're doing is legal, bro? And I didn't get it. And then I started it on this thing, and I was like, yo, like income, like online income is really you don't really have to be there, right? You're like,
Hmm.
yeah. And like everybody had the same thing. Like everybody knew how to write, and my writing was like atrocious because it was in Spanish. And if you look at English writing versus Spanish writing, Spanish uses way more words than English, so it's hard to like be very simple and very succinct in Spanish. You have to like very dumb it down in English. So I had to learn, right? So I wrote like 500 words a day. I did all this shit until I launched a product about like psychology or something, and I made $5.
How did
And that,
you what was your process for starting to write? Like you're
oh,
tackling, are you learning English for the first time? You learning to write in English for the first time? What's the background for you in English?
so whenever I never really struggled in English, I did grow up in like Guatemala is like very separate when it comes to like income levels. I'm very blessed to have been born in like the upper income level, so they've helped me out. So I went to this American school, not in the US, but like certified American. I had my classes in English, so
Yeah.
that's where I learned. Yeah, but I never really understood how to write well in English, right? Because I was such a bullshitter, bro. Like I used to write like, all right, so it's a 500 word essay, right? So I'll just write instead of I was born in Guatemala. When I was born in the city of Guatemala in Central America, Latin America, where we use this, yeah, that shit. So that's naturally translated to English when I wrote in English, right? Because Spanish is very like long. So English, I use many lines. Nobody was reading my stuff or nobody was engaging with my stuff. And I
Mm.
was like, guys, this is fucking good, right? Like it says something. Why are you not reacting to it? And then I came up with this. No, I didn't come up with it, but I encountered this phrase, dumb it down. You know, the phrase when it comes to write, like writing in English. And I was like, that doesn't seem right to me. Like dumbing it down, it just doesn't make sense. It's like I have to make it smarter. I have to make myself smarter to write simply. It's not about like dumbing down your writing. It's about making your brain better. It's about thinking better so that you can explain it in a way that everybody can understand. So I started reading all this shit. I had all this like psychology, human nature, and eventually like just writing 500 words a day, like somehow, some way, like you sometimes like you're a loser one day and you're a loser for years and you don't know shit for years. But then one day it's like, oh, everything makes sense, everything computes. So that's how it turned out.
What happened where you knew you were going to write 500 words a day? Was that something, a goal you set? Was that, how did you come to that conclusion, 500 words a day?
I bought a guide on Twitter from Ed Lattimore, the crackhead writing method, something like that. And that's what it said. And I just didn't really question it. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And by the way, those were horrible. Like those 500 words were horrible. But I mean, you get better, right? It's just maybe it's not that you're bad. It's just that you don't have enough reps. So I had to get those reps in. Yeah.
So at what point did you start to realize, wow, I'm actually getting pretty good at this?
It was when I was actually getting a lot of engagement and I could like freestyle new types of stuff. So something about me when I was a kid, I used to always imitate people, right? Like I knew the whole dialogue from Shrek in Spanish. Bro, I know it all. I can watch Shrek in Spanish. I know the dialogue. Like I know it. And it's like when I saw somebody perform like in a sport, I was just record them and I watched the video and I'm like, I could do it almost the same way. So I started imitating writers on Twitter, right? You know how everybody just speaks a different way. Like people curse a lot. Maybe some others don't. Maybe someone's very direct, very harsh. Some people are like more forgiving. So I try to imitate all these people.
Wow.
And when I started, it was fun. And when I got this imitation part down, I was like, okay, I'm getting good at this. So let me just try to reach out to people and be like, yo, I wrote this for you. Because they had like fucking 20,000 followers. I had like 100. So I was like, I want to get my dopamine. So why don't you test it, right? Let's see what happens. So and I was like, okay, so those are performing. All right, we can try.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
just right.
Really interesting about the imitation aspect of it, because I interviewed David Perel. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a great writer. And one of the things he told me when I interviewed him was how imitative he was as a young kid, and how that was something that he always would watch sports and it led him to tackle his sister because he would watch football. So like it was really interesting that is also a similarity between you two in terms of that natural proclivity to imitate.
It's just yeah. And maybe I didn't know that about David, but something that I share with a couple like of my friends. It's like when we go to another country, let's say because Latin America is like full of all these like ways to speak. Like the same word could mean like something completely different. And the accents are just different. So when we go to another country, like everybody would just come speaking Guatemalan accent, but I would adopt that accent for like 2 weeks and I didn't even realize it. I couldn't shake it off. It's like this is just different. So it's cool. Like something about that, I did learn something from Perel. It was that's how we learn, like imitating. So what I would do is I would get soy files from my favorite writers, most especially Hemingway, right? So I would get Hemingway, Old Man and the Sea, and I would just read it. And I have a low attention span. Like I can read stuff for long. Like I have the Nassim Taleb books, but I just get bored for like 2 pages. I'm like, fuck, this is too dense.
He goes on and on.
Yeah, and he just goes in so many tangents, right? But I read Old Man and the Sea by Hemingway. I fucking love it. Like it was good, but I couldn't figure out, why am I reading so much? I'm not a reader. What's going on? So I would go over specific sentences and I'm like, how do I make this flow? Why is he making me read so much? Right. So I just get good writers. Something that I do on Twitter is that I have a no engagement list, meaning I'm not allowed to engage with some people. Think Julian Shapiro, David Perel, Jack Butcher, those people. So I don't engage. So I'm not in the mindset of, oh, let me get followers. I just, obsess over several accounts instead of like skimming the whole internet, because those are the people's brains who I want to get. So I don't engage. I just read, and I don't read anybody else. I mute everybody else because I want to read them, and that way I feel like it's better, because then you imitate the best.
Interesting. So you have a specific list of people that you only read because you want to get their insights into your brain and you don't want to be distracted. Who are some of those people on that list?
So it's Jack Butcher. I love Butcher. It's David Perel, Julian Shapiro, Danny Miranda, and a couple other guys. I don't have them like out of the brain, but yeah.
Those are people that you want to read on a daily basis, like.
Yeah. Also Naval. Like I'm a big fan of just repeating stuff. So
Gotcha.
I've listened to Naval's Joe Rogan podcast like 5 to 6 times.
Incredible, right?
Yeah. It just covers so many topics, and you learn something. Let me show you something. This is my favorite book ever, right? It's Awareness. It's the only book that I have. Awareness by Anthony DeMello.
Awareness by Anthony DeMello. Great book.
Yeah. So every time I read it, it's something new. So I'm not a fan of reading many stuff. I'm a fan of reading the best things and the best people several times.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so
that's how I do it.
What's something you pulled out from the Naval Joe Rogan podcast? What's something that you learned?
The biggest one, I think the one that impacted my life the most, was the reason why I switched from business degree to computer science, which was learn to build, learn to sell. If you can do both, you'll be unstoppable.
Repeat that one more time. That's a very important concept, I think, for people to internalize.
So it's learn to build, learn to sell. If you can do both, you'll be unstoppable.
It's incredible.
So I was like, yeah, that one was like, holy shit. Okay. And, it comes from somebody who has done it, because Naval's like a software engineer and an economist, or he studied economics, and he's also venture capital. So he knows all this shit. And I was like, I want to be that guy, right? I want to learn to build and learn to sell. So I got into software. I'm not really good at it. I understand the basics of it. But then I started building, right? Trying stuff on my own. And I was like, okay, like if you know how to build something and you know how to use the internet to leverage it, like it's just mathematically unlikely you're not going to get anywhere in life. And the two basic things. So those were the biggest ones.
That makes sense. And it's Naval's statement that was like, if you can't code, then you should, he said it way more pithy and way better than this, but he said, if you can't code, then you should create podcasts and create videos and write blogs and write books, because you need a way to leverage your ideas even when you're not there, if you expect to get wealthy, right?
For sure. I mean, yeah, what are we? We're going to talk for like an hour, and this is virtually unlimited.
Yeah.
Like people are just going to watch it, and like this lives on, it's just, and you don't have to do anything about it. And that concept really, it really resonated with me, because I was like, okay, I'm just going to build one thing, and that's all it's going to take. Right. So I just started writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And eventually, I was just launch a product. I started building this agency, and I enjoy it, so cool.
Yeah. So let's get to this journey of you on this path of, you start Twitter in December 2019. You say you're writing 500 words a day to get better. And at what point did you realize that you could make money doing this, and that like you were getting good at this, and that next level of like, after you had just done the 500 words and the next level, what's that next level like for you?
So the moment I realized like this could be an actual thing was when I started analyzing stuff, because I just did it for fun, right? Something that I got from the Naval: do what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others.
Yes.
And that was writing, but more specifically analyzing why a piece of writing did well for me. I just did it for the fuck of it. I just enjoyed it. So I was explaining stuff to like the friends I made on Twitter, and I was like, so here's why this tweet did well. And for me, it was obvious. It was like, you just do it. I mean, obviously there are writers that are way better than me, but I just enjoyed this little part of just analyzing why, right? So like, this is why the tweet did well. Like, how do you see it? Like, how do I replicate it? And I was, oh, it's easy. They just do it like this. And they're like, how? And I'll just draft a PDF or something. So that's when I started realizing it. And I'll be real with you. Like, I was making $250 a month. Like, it's not like I was missing out and stuff. So the main moment was the day I quit, which was like July. So I quit my job. I was like, all right, it's just 250. Like, I mean, you gotta find a way. So I started tweeting these affiliate links and stuff. And the day I made $251 in that month, I was like, fuck it, I'm unemployable. That's it. Right? Yeah. And that was it. It was basically, I just made a living out of novel things, which was like for something that feels like play to you. And that just feels like play to me. It's like, it's just fun, you know?
So when did you hit the $251 in a month versus?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say versus when you quit the job. Was it shortly thereafter or a
Oh,
long
it was
time?
just, yeah, it was just like a couple of weeks there, because it's not a lot of money. It's just a couple of affiliate links, right? It's like,
Right.
yeah, it was just a couple times later. But I do think that it took me like a little bit longer than some people do. Because a little backstory on what I used to do is I graduated high school at like 17, and I graduated in June because it was like an American school. But you start colleges here on January, so I had like 6 months to do like nothing. So basically, I did nothing. But I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to do nothing. So what I did was, I remember that my math teacher was like this perfume dealer, and he did perfume in like shady places. I don't know how that worked. So what I did was I grew like plants, for like lime smelling plants on my backyard. So I put them in alcohol while I squashed them, and I went door to door selling perfume.
Nice.
So yeah, so I started selling perfume. I made some money, and I got this. I made some money. Then I started college, which is industrial engineering, which is like basically like business, but with like statistics or whatever. And but I was like, I'm not learning anything. I'm always being like anti like classroom. I don't really enjoy being in the classroom that much. But I got this course about business in May, which pretty much sucked, right? It pretty much sucked. But this guy that was really good at it, the best marketing class I've ever seen, I went to him and I was like, "You, I'll work for you for free." At 17, I didn't have anything to do. Why not? I'll work for you for free. I don't care if I have to mop the floors. I'll work for you for free. So I got a job. I got a job in sales. I didn't get paid anything. And before I made like $1 for myself, I had to work 9 months for free in this sales thing. And then I worked like another year, making $250 a month. And then I was like, you know, with everything I've learned, which was like web design, email copywriting, it was like, this is not going to be hard. But it took me like 2 years to just make that jump and be like, okay, I'm going to do it for myself. And it was scary as fuck, bro. It was scary as fuck. Just getting out of that, it was scary as fuck. But in hindsight, it wasn't really that risky because I already had those skills on,
Yeah, that makes sense. What made you so confident to ask that person for a job for free, or so confident in that person that that was the right opportunity for you?
That's a good one. Where I went to college, or well, that business thing was that a lot of people were giving classes that were very, you could tell they were already people with money. They weren't really people that struggled at the beginning. So I was like, why would I take classes from somebody who had to play an easy mode, right? But this guy, you could tell he had this fire, bro. Like he was just like, I'm gonna go get it. You could tell that he didn't come from a family from a lot of money, and it's like he just earned it. He was the only one like that, and I was like, this is the guy, right? It's one of those things where I didn't really think about it. I was like, let's just try it. And he's been one of the biggest blessings in my life. He taught me so fucking much, bro. We used to sell guides and Facebook ads. And I was like, I had access to people making like so much fucking money. I was working for free. And I got access to this Death Star kind of rooms where like $1 million deals were being held. And I was like, shit, I should pay for being here, running all these things, all these things. I should pay for you. And they didn't charge me a cent. And yeah, that's like people are telling me, why are you working for free? I'm like, I'm not working for free, bro. This is my education right here.
Mhm.
These guys helping me out, they're educating me. So yeah, that's incredibly helpful. And it was just a leap of faith.
Yeah. And what was the biggest thing you took away from that unpaid internship, basically, for 9 months?
Yeah, that's actually back to the imitating thing. It kind of ties back a little bit
I love
because
it.
seeing all these salespeople, there were three guys. So it's this very balanced guy, this very like chill guy, and this very pushy guy, right? And what I did was I tried to imitate all of them, and I did a pretty good job at imitating them, right? But it was very people could sense it was a bit fake, right? Because I was a kid, I was like I really wasn't that much confident. And so the best thing I got from that job was like a couple of weeks before they fired me because I fucked up a deal, by the way. So yeah, that's
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at the beginning it was hard, but then it was like, okay, I learned. But this guy sat me down and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just trying to sell, right? What's wrong?" And he was like, "Yo, if you try to imitate somebody else's path, you'll never do it as well as them. There comes a
Mm,
point in life where you gotta do it your own fucking way and figure it out. Stop trying to imitate us. Find your own thing."
wow.
And that hit, bro. That hit. I got fired a couple weeks later on, but I was like, if that was all I took from it, it was worth it. Fuck. It
Mm.
really hit. Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened with the deal?
So I messaged a client at night, right? And I shoot a message because they told me, all right, before every sales meeting, because back then we didn't get locked up by having meetings face to face like COVID now. So before the face meeting, they told me you gotta message the client one day before, so you guys are good for the meeting and we won't waste our time. And I was like, okay. So I didn't, and it was a Friday, and I was like, fuck, the meeting's on Monday. So I just assumed I was texting the person's phone, but I was actually texting the work phone, but I was texting their personal phone.
Gotcha.
And then he got the message and I was like, yo, what are you talking to me on a Saturday night? What the fuck are you obsessed with something? Let's just not have our meeting on Monday. Fuck you. And in hindsight, that was a pretty jerk move. But I mean, that's how it is, right? It's just business. They didn't really get it upstairs, so I got fired.
Gotcha. And so moving on then, what was the next thing you did where you're like, you have this free education you're basically getting, and then, they fire you and say, no, you can't do it anymore. Where you go next? What's your next move?
So I still chickened out. And I was looking for this. I was desperate, and the same guy that got me the job at the marketing agency, he also had a side hustle. So I was like, yo, I need money. I need to work. I need to keep learning. So he hired me as his assistant right there. And that way I did everything, bro. Like if you look for what's a business in Spanish, the first video that pops up is me. Like I did everything. I did YouTube video. Yeah. I did YouTube videos. I did copywriting, web design, sales, systems, payments, invoices. I did everything. But
Wow.
it's like you don't I was getting paid a little bit less than I think I should have been paid. But again, like you get what you negotiate. And I didn't have the balls to just say like I need more money. And then I didn't have the balls to quit. So I didn't. Like it took me a long time to just get around it and just take this leap of confidence.
And okay, fast forward now to you quitting. Like, why did you quit? What gave you the confidence then?
It was just when I saw that it didn't take a lot of effort to make a living out of Twitter. At least not at where I was at, which was
Mm-hmm.
250 a month. I was like, it won't take long. Right now, these people have this product that I wanted to launch, so I just had to do it. Right, it was just another leap of faith. That, in hindsight, many of the things that have made me happy were just because I took a leap of faith and followed my gut. I don't know if you've experienced that, but sometimes you just gotta do it, right? And yeah, that's basically what happened.
What advice would you give to someone who is struggling to leap in whatever venture they're doing?
For me, it's like this heuristic that I've had since I was a kid. My parents told me like when you're between two decisions, go towards the decision that gives you the more peace. So
Mm,
that one oddly excited me, made me afraid, but it also gave me a lot of peace. I was like, it's time, right? So when you have two stuff, I've always done that. When you have two things to choose from, I just choose the one that gives me the more peace, and more often than right, it turns out well.
that's powerful. That's really powerful. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was a moment when you probably didn't have peace, which was when you lost your Twitter account and
Oh,
and
fuck.
the Twitter account was shut down. That happened when exactly?
It was like November, December. Yeah, it was
Sounds right.
in the beginning of December. Yeah, because it was after I did my product launch. Bro, that was so close. I launched my product 1 week before I got banned. So I was like a little bit chill, but I was like, fuck, that was close.
Yeah, so you take this leap of faith in July, and not that long later, you all of a sudden have your Twitter account banned or locked out. So, what was that experience like?
That was I was pissed, bro. At the beginning, I was pissed. Like, come on. And it was what happened is I tweeted before I was 13 years old when I was a kid. I had a phone and I tweeted something like, whatever. But then because you're not allowed to tweet before you're 13, Twitter had to lock me out and kind of delete everything and make sure that I wasn't saying anything wrong, something like that. I got my
Mm,
account like in 2 weeks. But I was pissed. At the beginning, I was pissed, like, but it taught me something again. It was like, you don't own your Twitter. You don't own your Facebook. You don't own your Instagram. You own your email list. And not even your email list sometimes, because you got to download the CSV and make sure it's somewhere safe. But yeah, bro, it taught me that maybe like this media and things that you put everywhere can be taken out of you at any time.
mhm.
So it just pushed me to like push my email list. But something that it taught me as well is when you make friends on all these places, they're like insurance against being banned. Yeah, they're your protection against something happens because you're in your minds are gonna help you, right? They can't ban us all at the same time. So I was like, okay, I wasn't really worried, but it really made me appreciate the power of just making relationships with people on Twitter. It really, really nailed that down for me. And ever since, I've been close with a lot of people.
What advice would you give to someone who's trying to make friends on Twitter?
Oh, that's interesting. So I have this saying, right? When I write for my clients or something, I'm like, if you are someone outside, if you want to be someone inside of Twitter, you need to be someone outside of Twitter. So something I would do is make cool shit, then write about it every freaking day, bro. Like every day, and eventually you start attracting people that want to hear you, right? People that want to resonate with your message. So just make cool shit outside of it, and tweet about it. That's it. That's literally it. Do cool shit and then talk about it because people want to be interesting. Why would people like want to have a relationship with you? Like that's just how it is. Like sometimes you just gotta prove your value to them. So do some cool stuff and then come back and report. Sometimes I share my story and it resonates. People I've met a lot of Latinos who are like we we all speak English, but then it's like you can kind of tell who's Latino, right? So it's like, oh, bro, let's hang out, right?
So it's like making that connection with people who are similar to you and similar in your interests and values in some way.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I actually wanted to ask you, like, how do you make connections on the internet?
I look for people who are doing cool stuff and I hit them up and say what's good. And if we connect, we connect. If we don't, we don't. But I mean, having this platform and the podcast allows me to, showcase people, and people love to be showcased. People love to be heard. So having this platform is certainly a helpful way to become friends with people on Twitter.
That's so cool. Like, I mean, I saw something you posted today that 50% of podcasts don't have more than 15 episodes,
Yeah.
something like that.
Crazy, right? Crazy.
Yeah, it's like consistency it just wins, right? At
Yeah,
least that's how it turned
always.
out for you.
100%. We're on episode 86 right now, brother. 86. So we're making our ways, and that's all the fun of it. But going back to you and your story, how did 2020 change your perspective on life? Because it was a huge whirlwind of a year. You go from a job, the world locked down, you have, you change into now you're working for yourself and making money online. So how did 2020 change your perspective on life?
The biggest one was that I actually learned that I wasn't as, as cool or as like chill or like mentally stable as I thought I was. Because kind of, whether or not, this thing kind of had to teach us all to be comfortable with being alone. Right. And I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people. I love going places with, like, my college is a small college. I used to go to the one that's like a couple miles away, just because there were more people. I wanted to feel that energy.
Right.
And they're like, why are you going? I'm like, I don't know. I just like it. So it had to teach me how to, how to be alone. Cause I actually hated it. For a while, I hated it. And it showed me to take advantage of it. I think it was Rogue Wealth that tweeted it. Like, if you don't do anything on 2020 with your life, you're probably never going to do it. And I was like, yeah, that's it. I gotta like just use this loneliness and just push it. Because nobody's coming to save you, right? You just got to do it yourself.
So take us through, we stopped your story around your Twitter account getting banned or your Twitter account getting locked out. So what happens next in the JK Molina story shortly thereafter, in the last 3 months, in the last 5 months since your accounts got banned? How's your life changed since then?
So a lot of things, actually. It's that at first I was like, well, I launched my product, then I got banned, and I came back. And sometimes Twitter kind of burns you out. It's like you worry too much about likes and engagement and that shit. And it's like I just took a break. I was like, nah, I'm not having it. But then I started to build. Right? I started to build this agency with people, and I just felt that everything that I've learned like before from when I worked for free and sales and stuff, like it was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of that thing. This kind of reminds me of that other thing, right? It's like it all started connecting. Like, you can only connect the dots looking backward. You know that phrase by Steve Jobs? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm experimenting it right now. So I started building. I started helping other people. And they started helping me. And I just shifted my focus to like the agency and working there. Because I figured like, if I really wanted to get leverage under my name, I need to take risk and actually build something that's not writing, stuff on Twitter. I need to build something outside of it. So I was like, I want to have leverage under my name. I want people, when they think of Molina, think like, okay, that motherfucker knows how to write. So I focused full time on the agency. I was making good money. Where I live, that's good money. So it's this challenge of like, listen, bro, like where I live, to me, I consider it, you need $2,000 a month to live great where I live. I'm talking good food, good places, good experiences. You can take your luxuries every once in a while. $2,000 a month is good where I live. So I reached that spot. And I was like, I mean, that's what you called made it. And I was like, I don't feel like I made it, right? It's like, I was like, whoa, when I make $2,000, shit, that's going to be so great. And I reached and I was like, no, bro, like I want to keep going. So eventually I was like, okay, so this is what I need to eat. This is what I need to do everything. So the biggest mindset shift was like, I was no longer doing all that I was doing and working because I need money. I was just trying to figure out like, okay, I have this $2,000. That's all I need to live like a king. How do I play it and see how high I can go? It's just a game. No, I was talking to this friend of mine. Like he was already making money from Twitter, but he was anonymous. I didn't even know he graduated with me and I didn't know it. And he was like, yo, like we already need everything. And I was like, yeah, it's like dollars became like our currency, which is called quetzales, is money, but dollars are game currency. Just a game for us now, right? It's just, let's see how far we can take it. So that was the biggest thing. It's like, why not? Right? Why not try it? I wanted to see like, and if I something that I actually came back from Miami like a couple like a week ago or something, and that was such a game changer for me because, you know, you're very alone here, but in Miami it's actually very open, right? It's very like
Mm.
you can go out, you can go to the beach or whatever. And I was going there, and I play volleyball. I play in my state team, so I thought it was pretty good. So I went to Miami to play beach volleyball. Bro, they fucked me up like horrible, right? Yeah. They really, oh my gosh. That's where Olympians, like they're retired, but they stay in Miami so they can play. So they fucked me up, right? And so then I went to Muscle Beach, which is where everybody works out. And then I was like, why the fuck is everybody fitter than me? Everybody has way more muscle than me. What the fuck, right? And then I go to this place, Key Biscayne. Like it's like a beach, right? So I went there and I saw all these houses and all these Audis, BMW, it's like Rolls Royce. And I was like, holy shit, everybody's making more money than me. So it was
Mm.
like such a cool thing because I was like, actually levels to this game. So like 2020, like this month after I got banned, I've been exposing myself to people who are so much better than me. And they're in
Mm.
such a different level. And I'm just obsessed that all these people, like meeting you, meeting all these guys who are just so high achievers. And I'm like, holy shit, like it's so cool to have a network like this in the internet, you know? So the biggest thing that has changed ever since I banned me was I focus less on writing and in Twitter and actually getting engagement and more in actually finding connections and connecting with these people and being like, okay, so how can I help you and you help me? Which is why I have like all these sorts of interesting stuff going on, which is like I only thought that like client work, it only meant like you do a service and they pay you. And it's like, no, bro, you can change it for coaching, you can change it for referrals, you can change it for like business partnerships and working, working it out together. And I was like, literally the thing you can do with your network is infinite if you just think a little bit outside the money, you know,
Mm.
right?
And
So
how
yeah,
old are
biggest
you,
shift.
JK?
I am 20 and I'm going to turn 21 in a couple months.
You're 21. You're less than 21 years old, and like making these realizations is pretty crazy, right? Like you speak as if you've been in business, you worked for free. You speak as if you are way older than 20 years old, but you're 20. So how crazy is that to be that young and be thinking like this, like, oh, a next level, like I gotta keep going. Like where does that come from? That drive?
I don't listen, bro. Honestly, it's because I see a lot of people better than me. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs. They're like so fucking competitive. So I'm like, I'm the same way. So I got this friend, Luis. So Luis is more jacked than me. He's more athletic than me. But every time we meet at the gym, I'm like, I'm gonna lift more than you. Or every time we race, I'm like, I'm gonna race you. I'm gonna win. I never win, right? But I still try. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, okay, I'm 20 and making moves. Bro, there are people in Twitter at 15 making moves. There's this girl, Niti Serran. She's got an
Yeah.
Instagram agency at fucking 15, bro. Like, come on.
Shout out Needy. She's killing it. She's awesome.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's like something that keeps me going is that whenever I like achieve something and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Then I look at these people making $1 million a month. I'm like, shit, I need to get to that level, right? I need to win. So I just try it
Mm.
again. Yeah.
It's that competitiveness in you. Does that something
Yeah. I just,
is that something you were born with or something that you cultivated?
I think it's just that I don't fucking like to lose, bro. It's just,
Mm.
I despise it. So it's like, uh, you know, I never, something that I come back a lot to is that I find like harsh moments or like not very comfortable moments in my life and I try to like remember it so they can push me, right? So I used to, this time I was so I played volleyball and I went to the states final. It was the only chance I was ever gonna get at wearing the Guatemala uniform because like I was in my last year and they're like I couldn't, if I win one level or I go one more year, the level was just way too high for me, so I had to go. That was like the oldest of the minor league, right? So I went to this tournament, right? We're in the finals. We made it to the finals, and I was like, oh, shit, we did it, right? It's like I never won anything at school, so I got this in the national team or the state team. I was like, yeah, I can do it. But then we won the first set. We're about to win the second set. You win the second set in volleyball, you win. That's over. So it was my So it was like a crucial point, and I made a fucking rookie mistake, and we lost the fucking final. It was my fault. It
Damn.
was because of me. Yeah. And I just revisit like those moments, and I was like, you're not let that gonna happen again, do you? And then
Mm.
it's like, no, I gotta get to work, right? And then I sometimes I watch like, I listen to music, like Kanye, Jay-Z, and it's like I watch stuff about Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, bro, that there's a scene, bro, and The Last Dance, and it's like, uh, they asked Michael, like, how does it feel that you won 6 championships? And the first thing he says, bro, is, we could have won 7. I'm like, fuck, okay, that's different mindset, right? I want to have that. So like, I just find things that make me angry and I want to use them. Yeah.
What other things do you use as motivation? You mentioned Michael Jordan, you mentioned Jay-Z, but are there any particular things that stand out to you for what you use as motivation?
It's mainly like stuff that I've gone through or not gone through, but I've seen. So I used to be part of this. It's very a lot of gratitude. So I tweet a lot about like, if you know English, then you can't complain, then shut the fuck up, right? Because and I really do believe that. So I went to this, like I had this organization where we went to the like poor houses, and we did like stoves and light and like give them a filter so they can keep it, right? And it's like in the middle of nowhere, right? So there's no signal, there's no electric, anything. So we went there one time when I was like 16, and we installed a stove, like a stone stove. Then we installed a filter, and then we installed like a solar panel for them. It was like a charity, so we installed the solar panel. We're talking like mud floors. Like the walls were made of like corn, like the corn thing where you grow corn, and it's all tied up. So they don't really have walls. It's just corn that it's planted and on the floor, and that's the house. And if it rains, it fucks up, right? But that's how they lived. So we went there and we installed everything, and we installed these lights. And when we turn on these lights, the little kids, which live with $1 a day, the little kids looked at that light, so they started crying, they hugged their mother, and they said, Mom, we're rich.
Wow.
Mom, we're rich, we got light. And I revisit that moment often in my head. And I'm like, why am I complaining in an iPhone? Why am I complaining in English? Why am I doing all this stuff? Like, I had all these blessings. I just can't fucking stop now. It's just, then going on seems like the obvious option, because it's like what I have, bro. The fact that I'm speaking English to you right now, where I'm at, it's completely just, it just doesn't happen. But I was blessed with this. So there's like a lot of responsibility that comes in for me. I think I had it. Like they gave me a lot. Like God gave me a lot. So I just have to do it. So I use that as motivation. That, and when that doesn't work, then I switch into like angry shit.
Well, that story's quite powerful. I noticed the first time we spoke, you mentioned something about your grandmother and taking her to Italy, I believe. So
Yeah.
that story moved me as well, and I'd love for you to tell it, or at least talk about your vision for what you hope to happen.
Yeah. So I was like 12 or something. I was a kid, and we were watching a movie with my grandma, and I just asked her, like, Grandma, like, what do you want to do, you know, before you die or something happens, or before anything happens. I was a kid, and she was like, when I was a little girl, I watched this movie, which was like in canoes and everything, and it was in Venice, and I never really got the chance to go to Venice. And I'm like, I don't really want to do it, mijo, that's just too far. And I was like, it's not that far. I'm gonna fucking take you to fucking Venice because you said it now, right? My grandma never asked for stuff. Like she doesn't ask for a glass of water. She doesn't do anything. So when she asked it, I was like, then she means it, right? She really wants it. And now that, thank God, I got the money, I finally I think I made it with 2K, right? A month, that's it. That's all you need. I was like, okay, grandma taking me to Venice. We're gonna go to Venice, and then fucking COVID happened. And they're like, shit, I wanted to, right? And it's like, I couldn't take her, but like, just the moment when I told her, Mama, we're going to Venice. And she looked at me and she's like, shut the fuck up. And I'm like, no, we're going. And then, but she's so emotional, right? It was just like, she told me like, I didn't think I was going to see you grow up, and now you're going to take me to Venice. I'm like, yeah, it's going to fucking happen. And all these things, that, it's my grandma that's counting on me, all these kids, the memory of these kids, and all just my competitors and trying to push me. It's that, do I really have time to slack? I don't feel like I do. And I don't want to. Because finally everything clicked. The people that wanted to believe in me, they believe in me. People, the drive the motivation that I wanted to have, it's there. And I finally found something that feels like play to me, and can make money for others. Then how can I just not do anything about it? It's like just like the obvious choice now. So that's what I use, bro. That's a lot of stories, just a lot of memories that trying to push me. Yeah,
it's beautiful. So
yeah.
you said you tweeted one time, and I think about this often, is you die every day you refuse to work on what you were put on this earth for. So my question to you, my man, is what were you put on this earth for?
Bro, you asked me that the other time, and every time I think about different stuff, because it's just such a hard question, But yeah, it's I don't really know how to answer that question like exactly, but I'll tell you what my thought process is behind it. Because I do believe that if you have gifts, you have to use it. I do believe that my gift in some way is writing. So when I leave something, before I leave, that's about just kind of like this book. And then you read it, but there's just so much truth in it. I want to have something that I can pass down, and people are like, okay, so that every time I read it, it's something different. So I really don't want to, it just makes me scared to die and be like, knowing that I did not have any impact, because that's just fucking scary to me. But I think it's to write something that'll make people realize that being happy is just not that, it's not that fucking hard. I just have to do some more hard shit, and you'll be happy. It's something along those lines, because it's those thoughts have really shaped me. As in like, if you have like a comfortable lifestyle, you're gonna have an unhappy life. If you have an uncomfortable lifestyle, you're gonna have a happy life. So stuff like that, right? Like, I know you've done it with 75 Hard, we love Reddit, but it's just, I want to put it in ways that when people read it, it just makes fucking sense to people, and that how they want to do it.
Yeah. JK, my man, you are inspiring as hell. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we wrap up this conversation?
No, bro, I just wanted to say that, I did actually prepare like a visual for you. It's something very interesting.
A visual?
Yeah, not a visual, but something that I found the other day, right? So I found my notebooks from like before, right? The ones that I used to do. And I'm gonna tweet this in a while, but it's just that one of the main messages that I want to share to people like you is just consistency is the name of the game. So like these two notebooks, I made $0 a month. This one was $250 a month. This one was 1,000, and this one is 6 figures. So it's just that you just gotta keep fucking going, right? It's like, something that really shaped my way is this rep thing. It's just this atomic habits thing where you just have to do it over and over, and then someday you do it, right? There's a point in that I write better in English than I write in Spanish, and Spanish is my mother tongue. And it just doesn't fucking make sense. Why is it? It's just that it's not that you suck. Like, a lot of people are like, yo, how do I write tweets? And it just breaks my heart when people just live or space on Twitter, because then they don't experience all these networking thing and all these things you can do. I'm like, bro, you just gotta keep showing up, and one day you win. You just keep doing it, and one day you'll get it. So that's like the main thing that I wanted to share with people. Just keep going. And something that I did want to ask you is just something that really shook me, bro. I saw you tweet something, and I need to ask you about this. You said that your vision was having people being interviewed by you on a fucking stadium. Talk to me about that.
Hell yeah, man. Well, first of all, the consistency aspect of it is so important. And that's where it starts. To get to that stadium, you need to put in the reps every single day, every week, and you need to show up. And that's where it starts. And I don't know how exactly it's going to connect in this moment from point A, talking to you on this webcam, to selling out a stadium. But I do know that's my vision. That's my North Star. And really, that's my North Star because the amount of energy that is felt from me when I release these podcasts is incredible. People commenting, people tweeting to me, people messaging me nonstop. So my vision then for us to encapsulate that in one moment, it just brings me to another level. It forces me to act in a way that is my highest version in every moment for that vision to come true. So yeah, that's a little bit about the vision. And it's all goes back to what you're talking about with consistency, just doing it over and over and over again. Episode 86 will not look like anything like episode 860, but you got to put in the reps to get to 860. You got to suck at 86 or do okay, or be great today, be as great as you can today at 86 so that your greatest at 860 is even better.
Yeah, bro, I want to see it. So what's the big one? What's the end goal for Danny Miranda?
I mean, the end goal is to just live my truth of making the world happier, healthier, and wiser every single day. It's what I'm doing today. I've already won. Everything else that happens is just icing on the cake because I already won the game of life. I live every day as if I am just trying to become better and inspiring other people to do the same. So with that being said, it's like, you already won. Now what? Now what are you going to do that you won?
That's exactly how it feels like. It's just a game, right? It's just game currency at this point. It's just game.
It's just a game. JK, my man, where can people find more from you if they want to hear more from you and learn more from you after this conversation?
So my main place is Twitter. So it's at one, as in number one, ONEJK Molina. I'll see you there, brothers. I promise I won't get banned. And if I do, well, I mean, I hope you'll be there.
Yes, of course. You won't get banned, but if you do, we'll be there to support you. Thank you, JK, for your wisdom and this conversation. I am certainly better off for having it, and hopefully everyone listening is as well. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Take care.